welcome to another edition of Marauders, beating the market one trade at a time. Alright, so I'm here to just go over some plays that I think everyone should be looking at for this week coming up. So as you know, we have a new president. So the president has been chosen. So that is Joe Biden. But in this video, I'm going to talk about things you can do to help grow your portfolio and how you can actually take advantage of this presidency to do that. So, let's jump into the first one. But first I want to talk about the different sectors. So with the Joe Biden presidency, there are a lot of different sectors that are actually going to take off. One sector being the healthcare sector. So during the presidency with Trump, the healthcare sector actually was doing pretty good. So I think that's going to continue to do good. But then I think, after the transition to the Biden presidency, I think, alternative energy sectors. So, your green companies, solar, wind, hydrogen, and then your sectors like EV for electric vehicles, as well as other sectors such as cannabis. So I think all of those sectors are going to do good under a Biden candidacy or a presidency. So just going to go briefly over all these stocks that I'm talking about in this video. As far as which are going to be on, will be in videos later on this week, and they're going to be, some of them are going to be on the community tab. So make sure you check out the community tab for the option plays that I have every week. Also, make sure you go on IG, add me on IG. This is my IG, market_Marauders. I do answer questions on there. So if you DM me, if you have a question, I will answer it. Make sure you also pick up some merch. So I do have a merch company or a clothing company called Sus. So make sure you go pick up some merchandise on there. Got some stickers, some masks, things of that nature on there. So make sure you go support that as well. All right, so let's jump into the first one. So the first one on here, I'm going to say is ticker sign SNDL, and that is for Sundial Growers. This is a cannabis company. So I'm going to start with the cannabis niche. And as you know, during Obama's presidency, cannabis kind of had a boom. There were a lot of legislation passed on legalization of cannabis. If you watch the Jeremy Financial Education channel, he talks about this one company called Planet 13. I don't have that one on here, but that's another good one to look at. But for the first one I have is Sundial Growers. Now, for everybody out there who loves penny stocks and you're like, oh, I want to trade penny stocks, I want to flip penny stocks, this is definitely a go-to for penny stocks. It's 25 cents a share, so a quarter a share, $1 will get you 4 shares. But it looks like it went up to 30 cents after hours, so maybe a little more expensive. But still, you can get quite a bit of shares, most bang for your buck. If you look at their moving average 10, it's at 31 cents. Moving average 50 is 22 cents. Moving average 100 is 19 cents. So it ended the week at 30 cents right here, which is not too bad, but it is bullish, denoted by the graph right here. So I would look for this one to potentially be an early morning mover, especially considering VWAP is so high at the end of the week, and considering that we have a confirmation on the president. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the market last week because, the election had started middle through the week, but it wasn't confirmed. It wasn't completed. But now that it's complete and we know, I think there'll be a little more certainty in the market, and people are going to be making their moves, placing money in different sectors. And I think this is going to be one of the sectors that they place their money into. So try to take advantage of it before the market actually goes back up. So next, we're going to go into Aurora Cannabis, another cannabis company that I believe will definitely benefit from a Biden candidacy. So their moving average 10 is $10.40. Moving average 50 is $6.40, and the moving average 100 is $5.26. So I think this company will also benefit from a Biden candidacy. If we look, it almost was priced in, but I wouldn't say it was completely priced in just because it didn't go up that much. It went up from $5.90 to about where it's at now, which is at $9.70. So I don't think that was completely priced in. I think at $12.18, it may have, suspected that Biden was going to win, but I think it still has more potential to go up because you have to think, a candidacy is 4 years. It's not just a 1 year thing. So definitely going to keep Aurora Cannabis on my radar as far as potential stocks are concerned in the cannabis niche. So they are bullish, noted by this moving average 10 line being above the moving average 50 and the moving average 100. VWAP is significantly high as well, showing that the volume is pretty high towards the end of the week. So looking to see volume increase in the morning when the market opens, and hopefully they will be an early morning mover as well. Now, one of the ones that I feel like people just overlook, which I don't understand why, is SMG, and that is for Scott's Miracle. So this is the fertilizer that a lot of companies use to grow plants. And they use it in the cannabis world as well to grow the plants. Just fertilizer. If we see they've kind of been on a pretty big run up, they are bullish. Their moving average 10 is $177.04. Moving average 50 is $167.54. And the moving average 100 is $160.93. So they are bullish at the time of this video. So that's a pretty good metric. If we see their run up on here, they've been bullish for quite a while. But Scott's Miracle Grow is definitely one of those cannabis stocks that I say everyone should look at. It's kind of outside of the box. It also goes to that saying, during the gold rush, the people who made the most money were the ones who sold the shovels, not the ones who, went to panhandle for gold. So when the whole cannabis rush starts back again, after, more legislation is passed, then the people who sell the fertilizer to grow the plants are going to make the most money, and Scott's Miracle Grow being, one of the large manufacturers of fertilizer for that industry. Now, it's not the only one, but it's the largest one that I know of, and definitely benefits from a boom in the cannabis sector. So going to another one, we're going to switch gears and move to the EV world, and that's going to be NIO. So NIO's been on a pretty big up run for quite a while now. We can see, like, starting around the 28th, they just had a bullish up run or a run up, whatever you want to call it. And they did get an upgrade. I think it was by JP Morgan, or one of the financial institutions actually gave them an upgrade. So despite having the upgrade, I've seen a lot of big financial firms actually move and change around their portfolio, and I wouldn't be surprised, especially considering a Biden candidacy, if a couple of ETFs are created to accommodate this new EV agenda, green alternative fuel, alternative initiative that's going on. So with NIO, I think they're going to continue to grow, especially with the past relations that the past president, Obama had with China. I think their relations were pretty well. There was a lot of outsourcing to China at that time, opposed to, with the Trump presidency, they were kind of, trying to get things back to the U.S. But with the growth of NIO and the constant upgrades that the company gets, I wouldn't be surprised to see this get to $100, by the end of 2021. So I think there's a lot of growth potential with this one. I would say definitely keep NIO on your radar, especially, a lot of people are talking about it. So it's not just financial institutions that are talking about it. CNBC talks about it. A lot of millennial investors talk about it. So there are different sectors or different type of investors that are all talking about this one stock. So I think you can definitely take advantage of just the marketing portion of people going in and talking about the stock. Also, this company is partnering with Intel to try to make more self-driving, which to me, NIO is a direct competitor to Tesla. So if they're partnering with Intel, I think they're on a good track to find self-driving applications for their vehicles, sooner than later. Now, they do have self-driving already for their vehicles, but I think they were just partnering with Intel to help improve them. So They do have self-driving, so don't think that they don't have self-driving already. They do have it. I've seen it in a couple of videos, but if they can get their production up in China and have a potential factory or multiple factories in the U.S., then I think the company is just set to explode. So definitely keep your eyes on Neo in the coming weeks, especially with this presidency, and make sure that you check this whole EV space. So going back into the EV space, we have the oldie but goodie, I guess, at this point in time, which is Tesla. So Tesla is what you would call the millennial stock. Everyone knows about Tesla. All investors that I've talked to know about Tesla. Anybody who invests knows about Tesla. But after Battery Day, my synopsis that I got is that they have a plan, but their plan is pretty long term, so it's not as short or as quick as some of the other competition. But if they get if the government makes more incentives for electric vehicles under this new candidacy or under this new presidency, then I can see them trying to rush something or switching gears to try to get more of these things out, and also consumer wise, more people going to try to buy EV vehicles. So for me, in my personal opinion, people may disagree with this, I think Tesla is the number one EV car maker in the United States. GM, is kind of doing ways to try to get into the EV space. They're having their talks with their partnership with Nikola, which is kind of getting them into the EV world. They're at least the Hummer, rendering of the Hummer, or the model of the Hummer, which is electric, going to be electric now. And then also, they have different things that they're doing to try to increase their EV, competition worldwide, I guess you can say. So definitely interesting as far as that's concerned. I think, the growth of EVs in general is going to continue to grow, especially if there's governmental incentives to do so. So Tesla's moving average 10 is $429.55. Their moving average 50 is $427.23, and their moving average 100 is $414.68. So they ended the week at $429.90. I don't expect them to be an early morning mover, but they might be. So I think it's kind of 50-50, in my opinion, between the two top EV companies that majority of investors are looking at, one being Tesla, the other one being Neo. So, those are the two main ones in my opinion. Those are not the only EVs out there. I'll talk about some more later on in the video, but I think those are the main two that people are going to be looking at to add to their portfolio. Now, going into all these stocks on here, these are going to be earnings stocks, so I will have all of these on the community tab. I just wanted to go over them before I post a picture of my plays for the community tab. So, starting off with number one, these are going to be ones that are on Monday's earnings, that have earnings tomorrow, the 9th. We're going to see Plug Power, Workhorse, Novavax, McDonald's, Inovio, Nikola, and there are going to be some more. So Beyond Meat actually has an earnings as well. So we're going to add that one to the watch list. And then, yep, I think that's the last one. So Beyond Meat, I think, is the one that I missed. So I'm going to go down here and grab it and drag it back up here, so it could be with the rest of them. So let's start with Plug Power. So Plug Power is on a bullish uptrend. Man, I remember back when this stock was like really low. It was like $3 or $5 a share, but they've grown, for quite some time. But anyways, let's jump into the rest of this. So looking at the moving average 10 on them, the moving average 10 is $18.80. Moving average 50 is $17.55, and the moving average 100 is $16.16. So they ended the week at $19.16 and are on a very strong bullish uptrend. So Plug Power, I think, is one of those stocks that will definitely be able to have an advantage over a lot of other companies, especially that they're already established. The barrier for entry is pretty cheap. They're under $20, in my opinion. But also with the Biden presidency, and that whole Green New Deal that President Biden was talking about, a company like Plug Power is definitely poised to take extreme advantage of any new efficiency or green initiative that comes down the pipeline from the government. So definitely keep your eyes out on Plug Power. Tomorrow's going to be their earnings, so make sure you go check their earnings out. And I think, the earnings after that, once these, government mandates start coming down the pipeline, will definitely help a company like this out. Now, next, who has earnings tomorrow as well, is going to be Workhorse. Workhorse is in the EV world, one of the niches that I think is going to continue to grow, especially under this Biden candidacy. So looking at Workhorse, the moving average 10 is $17.20. Moving average 50 is $17.37. And the moving average 100 is $16.86. So in my personal opinion, what I think about Workhorse is I think the company is currently oversold. I think it's oversold because there was no news on whether they were going to get the contract from USPS or from the government to convert all of those mail carrier vehicles to EV using this company. But just because it didn't happen doesn't mean it won't happen. So I think there are a lot of investors who are looking at this long term for that to possibly happen. And for me, with a Biden candidacy or a Biden presidency, I think it's, easier to say that this deal may happen sooner than later. So, you got to think politicians are investors too. So, they have advisors who tell them, what emerging markets are and all the stuff that's going on. So it's not like this company doesn't exist or is under the radar. I mean, I think Mike Pence went to go visit them during the candidacy. Was one of those, building or making America, whatever things that they went to go talk to, like Donald Trump had went to go to Whirlpool. So there have been talks to this company, so I think, the government knows about this company and knows, the contract that they're trying to do. And I think, if this contract does get brought back on the table and does happen, this stock is definitely going to shoot up, tremendously. So definitely looking for updates on this one to see how it will perform as time goes on. So next, who has an earnings next week, it's going to be on Monday as well, is Novavax. Novavax is a vaccine company. They make a lot of different drugs, pharmaceutical company basically. But I think they've done pretty good for themselves. And it seems like, kind of rallied up before their earnings on Monday. So I definitely will look into them, look into some of the things they do, and look into some of the things that they're projected to do. So when you look at earnings, it's not just it's almost like a report card, but it's also a foreshadowing. So companies tell you about things they've done, deals they've executed, how much money they made, but they also give foreshadowing statements, which are basically telling you what they plan on doing business-wise for the company as a whole. So it's always good to look at the earnings to see what the company is doing, but I think they're on a good track for the future. So next, we got ticker sign MCD, which is going to have their earnings next week, and that is for McDonald's. Now, McDonald's has had a pretty good run in the past couple of months. It's been a very interesting quarter, in my opinion, for McDonald's. Just market-wise, they've done some pretty aggressive marketing, in my personal opinion. Starting off with the Travis Scott meal deal that they had. So they partnered with Travis Scott, which I think was an interesting direction for the company, but it seemed to work. A lot of people liked that partnership. It worked out very well. I know the Hype Beast community, I've seen people, trying to resell those posters on eBay for like $500 that they stole. But, I think the whole marketing ploy was pretty good because it brought attention to McDonald's. So even if people didn't want to go to McDonald's to eat, they were going to McDonald's to try to find one of those posters, or going to McDonald's to try to, get a receipt of the meal and resell it on eBay. So that still brought attention and money to McDonald's. So I think it was a very good marketing strategy for the company. Now they currently have the J Balvin meal, which I don't think is as popular just because it relied on the ice cream machine, which we all know the ice cream machines at McDonald's are garbage. But, it's just the way that they marketed it. So, I think lesson learned on that one, and I can see them potentially using more celebrity influence as time goes on. So I think it was pretty cool overall, even though I wouldn't have chosen, to have the ice cream portion of my meal. If I got to choose one, I'd probably have, some special sort of burger. Definitely bring back San Juan dipping sauce. I would have had San Juan dipping sauce be my side. If you all get that reference. But I definitely would have found things to bring people back in marketing-wise. So their moving average 10 for McDonald's is 216.63. The moving average 50 is 216.37. And the moving average 100 is 215.34. Yeah, bring it back. Yes, we need to bring it back. We need the San Juan dipping sauce ASAP. I think Travis Scott should have had San Juan dipping sauce instead of barbecue sauce for his meal. But, you live and you learn. If they give me an opportunity, I'm getting San Juan dipping sauce on my burgers. I want it on the burger. I want the San Juan dipping sauce on the burger. And then I want a side of San Juan dipping sauce nuggets. So if I had a meal, I would have a San Juan dipping sauce burger with nuggets that are coated in San Juan dipping sauce. So that would be my meal. And I want them spicy. I want a side of wasabi. With my San Juan dipping sauce. So my meal would be pretty complex. I'd have a lot of stuff going on because they had spicy nuggets at one point in time, but I want to have San Juan dipping sauce coated nuggets with wasabi sauce on the side. I think that would be pretty dope. But, McDonald's, if y'all listening, don't take my idea. So jumping into the next one that's going to be having their earnings for next week, we got Beyond Meat. So Beyond Meat has been doing fantastic over the weeks. Beyond Meat has done so many different deals in 2020, starting I think with Burger King. Then they have one with Starbucks. They have one with KFC. They're doing breakfast sausages and stuff now, I think, in different grocery stores. They had a deal with Snoop Dogg at one point in time. So Beyond Meat's marketing team is fantastic. The amount of deals that they were able to pull off to help, promote the company as a whole, I think has been fantastic. I think it's definitely helped the company out, and, we'll continue to help the company out as time goes on. Now, their moving average 10 is $156.41. Moving average 50 is $152.45, and the moving average 100 is $150.68. They ended the week at $157.32. So pretty good metric for the company. Now it looks like they tried to rally towards the end of the week to get to this metric. So some of the volume may be priced in, expecting a good earnings. But we will see with all those deals. I want to see numbers-wise how it actually performed. Now, we don't have to worry about this company going down. Essentially, they're recession-proof. People are going to go to the store and buy items that the company sells. So don't have to worry about that. So make sure you check those out. Jumping back into the medical world or healthcare is Inovio. Now, Inovio started doing pretty well, but then kind of struggled as time went on. They have a bunch of funding behind them. So, don't sleep on this company, even though they're down at the current moment. They had a bunch of backing by Bill and Melinda Gates. They got a bunch of backing. The last contract they got was like $56 million from DARPA. So, there's a lot of companies or, government backing from this company. So their moving average 10 is $10.45. Moving average 50 is $10.53, and the moving average 100 is $10.43. They ended the week at $10.59, but with their earnings coming up, I would definitely look for foreshadowing statements. So they had their phase 3 trial of the vaccine paused, but even once it was paused, they then got that $56 million deal from DARPA. But, definitely look to see what their expected outcome is for their phase 3 trial. So if they're just going to stop their phase 3 trial, and their phase 3 trial actually didn't stop the vaccine candidate, it stopped the device they made a device that they patented to administer the vaccine. So that was wrapped into their vaccine. So once the device was paused, it kind of paused the whole phase 3 trial itself. So, don't think that a company having their trial paused means the end of the company, because you got to think there are millions and millions of dollars that go into a company just getting into phase 3. So they're not just going to throw that money away and be like, all right, we're going to stop. They're eventually going to start it back once they get everything under, control. Maybe it was something the FDA didn't like, or maybe the FDA was just like, slow your roll. Either way, I think it's going to go and start back up. So before that happens, you could take advantage, but the earnings will definitely be telling of their plan to move forward. So going back to the EV world, who has the earnings next week, we got Nikola, the rise and fall of Nikola Motors. So Nikola Motors, 2020 has had a roller coaster ride. They shot up. I think the highest I saw it was like $70 something. Bought it when they IPO'd. I sold when it hit that 70 mark because I bought it like $20 a share. So I got like $50 profit on each one of my shares. So I was pretty excited about that. Cashed in pretty well on that. But since then, there's been the Trevor Milton allegations. Just a whole bunch of stuff going on with this company. But they are partnering with GM. I know the GM talks are still on hold, or I guess not on hold. They're still in negotiation. So they're still in talks with GM. It's still in negotiation. I don't think there's any actually resolution to this deal. I know originally it was 11% of the company for rights to the Nikola Badger for production. So they were going to produce the battery and the car itself at GM factories. So, I think that may still be in the works. It's still kind of iffy. GM's kind of been throwing out some weird signals as a whole because they went into this partnership with Nikola, and then when the whole Trevor Milton thing came out, they kind of just stopped and were like, oh yeah, we're still talking to them, but we kind of put that on hold. And then they released the Hummer, which they were like, yeah, let me show you the Hummer, all brand new electric. So people kind of took their mind off of Nikola, and I think they're trying to, I don't think take over Nikola, but I think they're trying to find guidance for their partnership with Nikola. I think strategically it was a very good move for them to release the Hummer, because there was a lot of bad publicity with them being associated with GM, with Nikola as a company. But as for Nikola as a whole, I think Nikola is going to bounce back. It's just a matter of time, especially with Biden as president. There's going to be all types of incentives for EVs going out there, and this company has an EV car out there. Now, their EVs have been projected to be not until 2022, but you got to think Biden is president now, so he's going to be president for 4 years. 2022 is not that far away. So, by that time, there'll already be legislation and stuff that this company can take advantage. I think they're in a rebuilding stage right now as a whole company, trying to find a direction and a purpose. But I think once that happens, then Nikola definitely will be one to look at. So their earnings is going to be definitely interesting to look at, especially considering, they don't produce a vehicle at the current moment. So what is their earnings really looking like? I think their burn rate is going to be extremely high, but who's to say? They may have gotten some funding from GM, which definitely helped them stay afloat. But it's going to be an interesting one. So I'd say Nikola is probably one of the more interesting ones that I would say to look at as time goes on. So jumping into earnings that are going to be on Tuesday, the 10th, so 11/10, we got Rocket Companies, which is basically Rocket Mortgage. They have IPO'd in 2020, so it's a fairly new IPO. But they're a loan company, which means that they do a lot of different things with loans. And as you know, with interest rates, if you watched Papa Jerome Powell talk last week, I think it was on Thursday, talking about they're going to try to keep interest rates low, but inflation will rise. Interest rates being low basically means that they're going to keep people are going to go out and buy houses. So people have more access to loans, which Rocket Mortgage or Rocket Companies being a loan company will definitely be able to take advantage of this. So I think, the company's going to continue to do well, especially, with this recent IPO. And Rocket Companies actually has a lot of money in marketing. So if you look at a lot of the sports, sports games that came out, I saw a lot of Rocket Companies or Rocket Mortgage commercials. I saw a lot of Rocket Mortgage commercials around golf. So I know, like, during the golf tournaments, there was a lot of Rocket Mortgage commercials. So it's not like Rocket Mortgage is a company that's obsolete that nobody knows about. They actually have a pretty big following. At the time of the video, the stock is currently bullish, denoted by the moving average 10 being above the moving average 50 and 100. But their moving average 10 is 2111. Moving average 50 is 2061, and the moving average 100 is 1967. So at the time of this video, they're at 2185. So I'd definitely look for them to be going up when the market opens on Monday. So as for the whole market in general, I think there are going to be different sectors that will go down after a Biden presidency or after the presidency has been announced. So I think, initially the market will start off red. I think it'll go down. So you'll see companies like Apple, Amazon, like just big tech companies go down because they know Biden is going to raise tax rates. So that just means people are going to stop buying or companies are going to stop buying more shares of the stocks. And I think it's going to go down. But I don't think that red, ness is going to stay for too long. I think, it'll go down and then it immediately start to go back up, which means, once it goes down, if you have money saved for a rainy day, when market goes down, that means they're on sale, which means you could take advantage and buy more stocks. But in the beginning of the video, I already told you a stock, the Sundial Growers, which is only 30 cents, which you could take advantage of. And everybody knows that the cannabis industry is about to have an amazing boom with the Democratic Party. So going into the next one that's going to have earnings on Tuesday, we got Lyft. Now, Lyft, I think, and Uber won a court case with the California courts saying that they were going to have their drivers classified as some sort of worker. I can't remember the title of the document or what they were fighting about, but I think it came to whether the people who work for Uber should get money for driving or are considered, essential employees, or it was something along those lines. But during the court case, I think Lyft won and they were able to continue working as time went on. So they're continuing their services in California and around the world. But I think the whole space is going to be pretty interesting during the as long as we still have the pandemic going on. So their moving average 10 is $30.01. Moving average 50 is $28.67, and the moving average 100 is $25.92. the time of the video, they are 29.85 to end the week. So they are bullish, denoted by this moving average 10 line being above the moving average 50 and 100. VWAP is pretty healthy, so it's pretty high as well. But it has kind of stagnated at the current moment. So I would be looking for VWAP to start to go back up and volume to increase to really want to put my money into Lyft. So I'll definitely keep my eyes on this one. But as for, funding this one or putting money towards, I still have to have, some more confirmations about what's going on with the company in order for me to invest. But after their earnings on Tuesday, we will see. So going to the next one that has earnings on Tuesday is Corsair Gaming. So Corsair is one of those companies that I think people kind of sleep on because a lot of people think gaming is just for kids or, kids game. This is all for just childish people, but it's not just gaming devices. You got to think when everybody went back to, work, or once this whole lockdown situation had happened, people bought different products to work from home, which are mouses, keyboards, webcams, all this other stuff that Corsair actually makes. So Corsair was able to take advantage of that, which I think will make them have a really good earnings, especially considering, other countries like France, Germany, and London are going back into lockdown. So just because the U.S. is, not in lockdown currently, doesn't mean that an international company like Corsair that sells products all over the world is not being able to take advantage of all these people being in lockdown. So I think that's something that a lot of people kind of miss is like, oh, well, in the U.S., there was a lockdown, and we're not in lockdown anymore. So the companies that took advantage of the lockdown, they're going to start losing money. No, there are other countries that are still in lockdown or going back to lockdown. So, people want to buy new mouses, new keyboards, all that other stuff. It's just the U.S., people have started to go back to work or started to integrate back into work and haven't, fully live the, lockdown life. So lockdowns aren't back yet that we know of. So, people may still have this stuff, but if they happen again, a company like this is definitely one to look at. So they ended the week at $27.98. So I would say definitely look at their earnings to see how they performed during those 3 months. So going to another company, the only one on Wednesday that I saw that I recognized that's going to have their earnings, and that is Purple. So Purple is a mattress company. They make fantastic mattresses. I have not personally had a Purple mattress. I think the company that I bought the mattress from is named something different. I can't remember the name of it, but I have tested out a Purple mattress, felt what one feels like, and I like the product. I think it's pretty cool. They're just too expensive for me because I'm cheap. So hopefully, if I start making YouTube money, maybe I can upgrade my mattress to a Purple mattress. But at the current time, I cannot afford a Purple mattress, even though some people are like, oh, they're cheap. Some people that I've heard who bought mattresses that are from Purple, I think a friend spent like $1,600 for a mattress, and that's just a little too rich for my taste. I could see spending that on a stock, but that's just the way my brain works. Spending on a mattress, I just can't. I can't do it. But maybe one day when I'm making a lot more money, I'll be able to buy an expensive mattress. There's one thing I read that said Drake's mattress was $150,000 or something that was made out of exotic horsehair. I was like, that's pretty crazy, but nowhere near Purple. But I think Purple will continue to make money. I think, for those who can afford it, those who can afford to pay that amount, I think will continue to pay that amount. And, it seems like the company has a pretty successful customer base. They have good marketing. And, for me, if somebody that I know has bought a Purple mattress, then, to me, it's it's not an unknown company. So, if your people around you, have something that a company makes, it's not unknown. So I'm like, if these people that I know who are not, ultra rich people have, the funds to buy something like this, um, then I think, we will, the company will continue to do well. So they ended the week at 3101, and we'll see how they actually perform after, their earnings. So someone said SNDL. Yeah, I talked about SNDL earlier. I have it on here. It's only 30 cents a share. Super cheap. Definitely go check that out. I'll make a rundown of all the different stocks after I finish this list real quick. We got a couple more on here. So going into the next one that's on Thursday, we have Cisco. So Cisco, not the food company, but the company that makes, Wi-Fi modules and switches and stuff. I think the company is doing pretty well. They kind of make sort of niche type of technology, but you got to think people are upgrading this equipment all the time. So I think the company will continue to make, more and more money. This one's kind of an iffy one for me, just in the sense that, it's kind of weird seeing, the company that makes these switches actually, do what they do, or I don't really understand the sales part of them. So, business model wise, I don't see switches and, all this stuff being in high demand. But then on the other hand, I kind of do see it because, you have companies like Cloudflare and cloud services coming out. So I think for me, this was kind of a 50-50 one. I didn't really see the real significance of it for home applications, but I think for corporate applications, with the growth of cloud computing, not cloud computing, with cloud services, and different cloud applications. You have Microsoft Azure, you got Cloudflare, you got a whole bunch of other companies that are jumping into the cloud system. I think Cisco will have the hardware that can support that. So I think I'm a little bit more bullish than bearish on the company, but I will definitely look at them for earnings. They ended the week at 37.60, so we will see how they perform after their earnings. So going into another one that's going to be on Thursday is the Walt Disney Company. Now, Disney was hit hard. They were basically blasted by not being able to have their parks open. But, marketing-wise, Disney has a fantastic marketing team, and the company's been around forever. So, the company survived the 2008 crash. They survived the March crash. So, Disney will survive. So, even though Disney has been low at some points, the company as a whole, in my opinion, will survive. They are essentially recession-proof. There are a lot of, investors who believe in Disney and have them in their portfolio and will never take them out of their portfolio. So I think just based off the following of Disney, that having them in a bullish position is a great way or a great buy. Now, their earnings is coming up. One of the things that I would like to see that is important to me and should be important to most investors is their streaming numbers. Now, with parks being closed for the company, the only way that they're really making revenue is through streaming. So they have Disney Plus. I think they have Hulu, none of which that I own because I'm super cheap. But but they do have those services. With Disney Plus, I can't really speak much on Disney Plus because I don't have it. I just don't want to spend money to do that. I don't really watch TV like at all. So, if I watch something, it's usually on YouTube. So I don't see a purpose of buying Disney Plus. A majority of the Disney movies that I've seen, I've seen them, and they don't really have much more. Now, Netflix to me is kind of different on the other hand. That's one thing I'd have to say is kind of Disney Plus's downfall is, I guess, things that I've read is they don't have, too much up-to-date content. So they don't really have, like, new shows and new movies that they're putting out. Like, even Apple is putting out, new shows and have actors and stuff that work for them. But I don't think Disney is doing the same thing. The last movie that I heard Disney release was Mulan. Well, I don't think they really have a sole section to focus on that. I think Netflix is still the winner. Netflix has been in the game for quite a while. Netflix's budget is utterly ridiculous on how much money that they put aside to do these things. But I think if Disney can, dedicate more money to this instead of focusing on parks, which may not be open or may not come back open. I think if they could focus more on the streaming side of things and realize that that is going to be their golden ticket into being extremely profitable in the future, or try to find a way to incorporate the parks into the streaming service. So I don't know how you can pull that off, but I don't know, maybe have digital rides or whatever, or some sort of thing, that they can do it. One thing that I think would be dope is if Disney partnered with Oculus Rift and had their rides partner with Oculus to have virtual reality rides that you could only access through Disney Plus. So you could download a ride or whatever that Disney could program. It goes through Oculus, and then you would have that ride essentially. So I think that would be a pretty cool thing to do. That'll kind of kill two birds with one stone. It'll open them into a new market, but then it'll also have where Disney itself is a service once again, with people still realizing that the rides exist. So the pandemic's not going to be here always, but if you're at home, going on the rides, or if you're at home thinking about different rides or different experiences that involve Disney, then when the parks open back up, you're going to want to go. So I think that's one way that they can incorporate different things for Disney. But overall, as a company as a whole, I think they're still doing A-okay because they've been around for so long. So they ended the week at $127.57. So I'm going to be looking for their earnings to see how they perform. Then we have one more that's going to be on Thursday, and that is Blink. So Blink charging. I think exactly the same about this one as the EV world. You got to have some place to charge the EVs that you're going to be riding in. I think on Monday this one is going to shoot up like crazy with all the rest of the EVs out there. So, Blink, I think, is done fantastic. I think they're extremely undervalued at being the price that they're at now, especially compared to the price of the other EVs that are out here. I mean, if you look at the other EV companies, they're way higher. Even Nikola's at $19, and Nikola is going through just crazy stuff with their company. So, I think that Blink definitely has potential to go up. I think their earnings is going to be really good. One thing I'd like to see with their earnings is their growth chart, basically saying, how many stations they put in different places. So that's one metric I'm going to be looking for, and seeing their projected growth as time goes on. Now, they may have some more government initiatives or incentives to build faster and build more places. But at the time being, the time of this video, I don't think they're going to have any initiatives going on. But they do have hope that with this new Biden candidacy or presidency, that EVs will be adopted more than they did with the Trump administration. Now, last, I want to talk about one that's going to have their earnings on Friday that I am most excited about, and that is DraftKings. DraftKings is just, to me, is just done craziness. Even though, they've had their ups and downs. Strategically, as a company as a whole, I think DraftKings is like marketing geniuses. They've done a lot of things, and DraftKings to me is like one of the companies that, like, if you don't know about it, it's a sports gambling company, where you can bet different prices on basically sports games. But you got to think DraftKings went down, or was going down, during a time where we didn't have sports. If you think about in history, like how long ago it has been where there were no sports going on, I mean, you can't really think about it. I mean, there's always been a baseball game, a football game, a soccer game, Olympics. There's been all these different sports that have gone on. And, with sports betting, it's not just, one sport, it's all sports. And they keep on making different deals with different people. So, you gotta think it's like UFC, MLB, MLS, NBA, NFL. All these different sections that there you can have sports betting with. I know in Tennessee they just did sports betting, which I think was pretty cool. But I think this industry is going to continue to grow, and people are always going to go out there and gamble. But I think DraftKings is going to take the most advantage of it, and I think they're going to do the best overall. So just think how much money per year to spend on lottery tickets. Now put that money and put it into DraftKings, and that's what I would say. That's what I would say is probably going to happen. Yeah, esports betting too. Esports betting is definitely going to take off. Don't sleep on esports. I think a lot of people are sleeping on esports, but for the fact that a company like Apple announced that League of Legends is going to be on their new iPhone 12, just let you know that esports is not for kids anymore. Like, the esports world is here. Apple is a Fortune 500 company. They're like at the top of the S&P 500. So for them to go out of their way to announce that they're going to be having League of Legends on their phone, there was a reason for that, because they know the demographic of the people who are going to have that game. They know the magnitude of having that game on their phone. So esports in general, to me, I think is going to go crazy. And with DraftKings, already having that infrastructure to do sports betting, and with esports taking off, DraftKings definitely going to take advantage of this. I think that this company, in my opinion, is $1,000 stock. Now, you may be saying, oh, it's crazy, $1,000 stock. I mean, let's look at a company that has a stock that's over $1,000 that I think is not even close to being worth $1,000. If you look at Chipotle stock is over $1,000, and all they make is burritos. That's literally all the company makes is burritos. They don't do anything special but make burritos, and the stock is over $1,000. So, I look at companies for value of the company and business model wise. So business model wise, I believe that them having Michael Jordan as the board of directors, and the relationships that he has, the continuation of sports, overall, sports being back on, sports being a priority. I mean, even during the Trump presidency, they were like making Trump try to get sports back. Like, people were like, we need sports. So, I mean, there's not going to be a time in U.S. history, I don't think, again, that we're not going to have sports. Even with the boycotts, with, the BLM and all the other stuff going on, we still had sports. They still found a way to agree to have sports. So I think sports is going to continue to go on, and I think DraftKings is definitely, in the next 1 or 2 years, I think it's going to be over $1,000 stock. Then also the main factor that I think is going to make this over $1,000 stock is that we're starting to see a decline in casinos. So in casino gambling, people aren't really going to the casino anymore because of health concerns. So you got the casino money, the lottery money, all of that, and the new esport money and esport betting money. All three of those factors, all three of those age sectors, because casinos is like older people. Let's face it, it's a lot of older people going to the casinos. Then you have lottery ticket money is just about everybody. So that's all demographics, if you're old enough to buy lottery tickets. And then you have the esports, which is the younger generation of people / millennial age of people. So you have all three of those age groups, all three of those people, all going to be entered into sports betting. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be $1,000 stock, and I think it has a bright future ahead of it. So going back over this list, those are all the ones from earnings next week. I will post the earnings ones on the community tab. I just have to go and write those down. I'll have a picture in my community tab, but let me go back over these one more time before I end the stream. So the first one I went over Sundial Growers. In the cannabis industry, Sundial Growers, I think it's going to be, an early morning breakout tomorrow. If we look at it at 30 cents, I think tomorrow we can see this thing shoot up to about 70 to 80 cents, possibly even $1, depending on, volume and how many people are going to jump into this stock. If we see right here, there are just some crazy amount of orders coming in, 15K, 20K, 24K, 10K. Now, that's not to say, anything like, people are balling or spending a bunch of money because it's only 30 cents. But I think Sundial Growers definitely is my number one pick for tomorrow, the number one that I'm going to see break out. And, if you guys are making money off of these, if you're making money off of these plays that I'm telling you, make sure you drop a comment down below in the description. Make sure you shout it out. I want to hear about you guys' successes. I want to know if these videos are helping you all out. If y'all make even if y'all make like $1 off of this, I want to know. Let me know. I just want to know feedback wise if these are helping you all out. I'm not asking for donations. I'm not doing this for money. So just drop a comment down below. Tell me, hey, I made $2 off of that one. That was a good play. That's all I want to know. I just want the love. So next we got ACB for Aurora Cannabis. What about Ride? So let me type it in. I'll look at that one real quick. Oh, Lordstown Motors. Yeah, I forgot about this company, actually. If I'm being real with you, I completely forgot about this company. I think this is the company that Vice President Pence actually went to go visit. I guess way back when they're doing their campaign thing. I think he went to go visit this company as well. Yeah, I'll have to look more into that one because I don't know off the top of my head what they're doing. But I definitely will give an update on that one pretty soon. But let me do some more research on that one because I don't want to misspeak on that one. But I do know it's an EV company, if I'm correct. And I think that the EV space in general will take off. So definitely will keep my eyes on that one. This is my watch list right here. So it's on my watch list. So I will definitely look into that one. So going back into the stocks for the presidency. So we got Scott's Miracle Grow, which is going to be the fertilizer company. So let's look at that one. They ended at 177. But first thing, make sure y'all go add me on IG, market_Marauders. Make sure you go cop some merch from the company Sus clothing brand. This is my clothing brand. I got the mask too. Make sure y'all go cop some of those on here. And I might do a giveaway one day. Just been too lazy to, get some of this stuff together. Been too busy actually, but make sure you go cop some of that. Show some support on there. Make sure you go add me on IG. I do answer questions on IG, so if you want to DM me, as long as you're not talking too crazy, I will go, answer some questions on there. If you're like, hey man, I'm looking at this stock, man. What do you think about this stock? I'll take some time to go do that and look at it and give you my synopsis on what I think. And maybe you weren't able to get your question across on live or on the description or on the comment tab. Next, we got Neo. Neo, I think everyone investor-wise is going to be looking at Neo tomorrow. So don't be surprised if you see that one jump up tomorrow. That one and Tesla. I think Neo and Tesla are going to be the one and the two that are going to jump up tomorrow based off of this Biden win. So you got to think, I'm not the best investor out there. So if me and my little bubble that I live in are looking at the EV world and EV space and looking at the Biden win and trying to set up plays for tomorrow, you got to think other investors, with more substantial capital than me are looking at it. So volume wise for all these stocks, like the volume is going to be crazy, but it just depends on when that actually happens. Certain sectors are going to go down, certain sectors are going to go up, but I think everyone knows that EVs is going to be a priority for the candidacy. Cannabis may not be a priority immediately, but I do remember Kamala Harris specifically saying that they're going to try to legalize more states to have cannabis. So definitely look at those. Biden had his Green New Deal. So with the Green New Deal talks out there, make sure you go check out companies like Plug Power. Plug Power, definitely going to be looking at them. We got Workhorse. The one thing all investors are looking at for Workhorse is going to be that contract with USPS. So that USPS contract, whenever it comes down the pipeline, definitely I see a lot of people holding this until that potentially happens. But with the Biden candidacy, I think it's more likely to happen than not happen. Novavax in the vaccine niche, they have their earnings next week. Definitely look at them, see what they're doing in the future. McDonald's, I think their earnings is going to be fantastic, especially off the J Balvin and Travis Scott previous meals that they had. Beyond Meat has been doing pretty good as well, expanding their marketing, expanding their product line. And Novio, the same thing, has a huge backing from a lot of big investors, Bill and Melinda Gates, as well as DARPA. A lot of government agencies are backing this company, even though that they have been paused. So they're not, in the same runnings vaccine-wise as Pfizer or Moderna. I still would keep them on my radar and look at their earnings. That's going to be next week. Nikola, even though they had problems with their former CEO, Trevor Milton, the moves that GM is making, I think they're definitely going to include Nikola Motors and have success for that company since they have an 11% stake in the company. I don't see them letting Nikola Motors go by the wayside at all. Rocket companies or Rocket Mortgage, more people are going to be buying houses with interest rates being lower. So definitely look at that company, especially considering that it recently IPO'd, so it doesn't really have that long of a history, and it has a really good marketing team behind it. Lyft, who just won an important court case, so definitely look at Lyft. We have Corsair. Look at Corsair for gaming and for people buying different gear for their rooms. And the remote work, a lot of companies have moved to permanent remote work. So Corsair is definitely one of the companies that sells mouses, mouse pads, mouses, and things like that people need in the office. Purple, the mattress company, I think has done really well. It will continue to do well. Cisco systems with the growth of cloud services. I think Cisco makes really good hardware like switches and things like that are going to help usher in the new wave of cloud services. Disney, one thing I'm looking for Disney is their streaming numbers, their increased amount of users, as well as their plan for reopening parks. And their numbers for parks. So I want to see their plan for how they expect to combat the pandemic with their parks, their plan to reopen, as well as their plan for Disney Plus and the whole streaming space. I also want to see if they're going to increase their budget, which they really need to do to compete with companies like Apple and Netflix. Blink, I think is going to do fantastic. Definitely going to be, undervalued at the current moment, in my opinion. I think this stock has potential to be around $50 to $100, especially considering, that they're building an infrastructure similar to Tesla. But, going to look at the company to see their growth numbers and see how many stations they're actually going to be building and see what their projected plan for the future is going to be. DraftKings, number one on here that I'm going to be looking at. $1,000 company in the future, and definitely going to be looking at their plans for growth moving forward. And lastly, Ride, which I just added on here. So I'm going to be looking at Ride and going to see what they're going to be doing. I'll definitely give an update on here. If I don't give an update on here, I'll try to give an update in the community tab about what I think about Ride, or I'll try to make a short video about it. So, all right, good luck to everybody out there trading next week. Hope you guys are able to lock in some profits. If you're able to lock in some profits, make sure you drop them in the comment tab down below. I love to hear about your investing journey.